I don't even know where to begin with this series. I read and then I reread Three Jokers so that you don't have to. No, I mean, that's mostly a joke, sort of. You should read it, probably. Form your own opinion, I guess, whatever. But this series, spoiler warning for Three Jokers for this video. I don't know what this video is going to be. It's going to be very random and me just rambling about this book. But yeah, spoiler if you haven't read Three Jokers yet. I'll be getting into it over the course of however fucking long this video ends up being. But yeah, there's your spoiler warning for a book that's... The hardcover is out now. I don't know if the paperback is out yet. The hardcover, they normally release first, but the hardcover, you can buy it. I unfortunately probably will because I'm a collectionist and I have to. But yeah, I don't know how to feel about this book. I love and I hate this book. There are things in this book, this series. I have the 3 issues. I keep on holding them up, showing them. This is issue number 1. There are things in this book, in this series, that I love a lot and I think are really, really good ideas. They're very, very solid ideas. But then you turn the page or you go to the next panel and it's just one of the fucking worst things that I've ever seen in my life. It's so frustrating and it's so... Well, let me get one thing out of the way first before I get super far into this and just completely don't mention it. The art throughout this whole book is absolutely insane. It's some of the best art that I've ever seen. It's Jason Fabok and Brad Anderson, the artist and the colorist, are just on another level throughout this whole book. Panel after panel, page after page. It's just phenomenal art. It's gorgeous. It's borderline unbelievable. You can't really see it in the quality, but it's unbelievable what Jason Fabok and Brad Anderson do in this book. And that's what makes it so much worse, that the story fucking sucks. I was going to try to, I don't like being overly negative about things, talking about things. I generally try to keep my thoughts positive, at least, publicly. If I'm going to say stuff, I normally don't enjoy bashing things and being super negative or whatever. But at the same time, I do have to be honest. And this is a very big book and a big event and a big thing that was, very anticipated this year for years. And I want to talk about it. I've got a lot of thoughts on it, and they unfortunately are mostly not very positive. So that's what I'm doing with this video. I'm going through it. I'm talking about it. One, I get part of the reason that this book is so disappointing is because of the amount of hype. It definitely fell victim to the hype, and it's because it was teased 5 fucking years ago, right? I mean, we first got a tease for this in Darkside War, which is actually on my shelf. I have the omnibus for Darkside War back here. It's one of my favorite it's probably my favorite Justice League story ever. And it teased this comic, Three Jokers. And that was in 2015. I believe it was the summer of 2015. It might have been the fall, but the issue that teased the fact that there are 3 Jokers was in Darkside War, right? So that was over 5 years ago. And so then for the longest time, it was whether or not this book was going to happen, and then them saying that the book was going to happen, but then it was just a very, very, very long wait, and then it got announced, and then, this year and COVID and everything happened, and so it got pushed back more. And so it finally released. I think August was the first issue released. August 25th was issue number 1 coming out, and so it came out, and I guess another sidebar, sorry, before I get into the story, I've got to talk a little bit about Geoff Johns. I don't want to get too into it in this video because that's not what this video is, but I do need to address it before I talk at length about this book that he wrote and the writing in it. Basically, Geoff Johns is a piece of shit, which sucks, and is something that we've learned recently based on various statements from Ray Fisher and other people and just other behavioral patterns and things of that nature. And so I talk about this more in a previous video that I uploaded, actually. Ray Fisher's Statements, I think was the title or whatever. You can find it on my channel. But so it sucks that Geoff Johns is really shitty. He was one of my favorite comic writers. He's written a lot of my favorite stories, especially for DC. I mean, he did so much for DC. He's one of the biggest writers in the industry ever. And so, yeah, it just it very much sucks. And I think that, I don't know, there's the whole, separating the artist from the art argument and things like that. And, For some examples, I feel like that's easy to do. Like, I can separate Lovecraft from his work pretty easily just because it was one so long ago, and then I can be like, yes, like, he's very obviously was a racist asshole. And so, like, I get that part of it. Well, for something that's happening, like, currently, this dude is currently still doing this. He's currently still writing comics. He's currently in the industry. He's alive, obviously. And then also him just being as not great as he is, that's a bit trickier to, like, deal with. And that definitely also taints the story a lot for me. It makes me a lot more difficult to enjoy because I know who wrote it and where it's coming from. And so that sucks. That's a really big bummer. That just sucks that that's a thing. I wish people weren't shitty, but he definitely is. And it's also one of those things that you definitely have to hold them accountable for. You can't ignore it just because they did or do write comics or make movies or do whatever that you like, that you enjoy. You can still acknowledge that they're bad people and they've done bad things. Yeah, so acknowledging the Geoff Johns thing, it sucks that he's a piece of shit, and I would just like that noted, and that's where I stand on that, basically, I guess. So that sucks, and that is a bummer. But yeah, so we got this book finally after like 5 years of waiting and wondering what it was going to be, right? And Geoff Johns is a good salesman, right? Whenever he talked about this book in interviews, it's a Batman and Joker story that's going to explore their relationship in a way that never has been. It's really going to fundamentally change the way they interact, the like scope of their interactions before. It's going to bring in Batgirl and Red Hood, and we're going to explore all these characters' traumas because of the Joker and really do this in a great way. It's going to be a great story for all of them. And that sounds awesome. And then also, it was like, holy shit, there are 3 Jokers. Which ones are they? How long have there been 3 Jokers? Like, what? There's so many questions with this, and it's so interesting. And then the book just does nothing meaningful to me with any of it. So I'm not going to go plot beat by plot beat. That's not this video either. If you want that one, either read it, or there are videos, I'm sure, on comics, Story in our Comics Explained probably. Probably has a video that's reading the series. But it just some of the writing, like the writing itself in this book is so bad. I should have known from the first words. Time heals all wounds if they don't kill you first, is the opening line of this comic, which, like, thank you, Geoff Johns, for that absolutely staggering piece of advice. I mean, the art's crazy good still, which is amazing. But, so, like, we get that, and then, dude, some of the writing is just it's so parody level, almost. And then, of course, he also, I swear to God, take a shot every time there's a mention about, like, oh, well, it'd be crazy, like, that would mean there would have to be 3 Jokers. Oh, well, there's been 3 of them. Like, the amount of times that they mention, especially characters that, like, don't know that there were 3 Jokers. Well, I mean, some of them do, but, like, Gordon and, like, Bullock, especially whenever he mentions, like, 3 Jokers, it's so unbelievably on the nose and just, like, not great writing, and it bothers me so much. And it just, yeah, I don't know. The first issue I didn't have, like, too much with. Like, there's some weak writing in there for sure, but the first issue is mostly solid. It's really, really cool seeing the 3 Jokers interact for the first time. I like that. Is a very crazy thing to see that, you know, 3 of them doing things is crazy. And, you know, of course, their looks. And also, like I was saying at the beginning, this book has some incredible moments. It has some things that I really, really, really love. Like, there's a scene whenever Jason and Bruce and Barbara are traveling to the aquarium, and Jason's in the Batmobile, and he goes, hey, when are you going to fix these seats? Every single Batmobile I've ever been in, the passenger seat is too small. It's like you really don't want anyone sitting here. And that's just so good. Like, that is great from Bruce and Jason's perspective. That's some character work on both of them, and it's just such a great little moment, and it's a great interaction between them, and, like, that's amazing. And then we also get another one, like, literally right after that, where, like, Barbara is saying that her father used to take her to the aquarium, and Jason said he's never been inside, and then he asks, what about you, Bruce? And he goes, my parents built it. And, like, that's just another small interaction between the 3 of them that's really, really, really good. And so the book does shine in those moments when it gets to do that. But then you have the ridiculously on the nose, not great writing the rest of the time. And then also some just, I will say I like the end of the first issue a lot. Jason just absolutely snaps and kills the Joker that they've captured, who is, I believe, number 2. He's the no, he's number 3. He's the clown, I think, is the one that Jason kills. And so, like, that's a cool moment. And that was, like, sort of shocking to see, I suppose. And so, like, the first issue, iffy, but still pretty solid, right? Solid to good to great, okay, is the first issue. Like, I read the first issue, and whenever I first read it, I was underwhelmed, but I was like, okay, maybe the hype was just too much for me, but this was still, like, good. Well, I'm on board with this. Then we get to the fucking second issue, right? And the second issue is where I start to get problems. And the writing just becomes far, far worse. There's literally a scene in this issue where Batgirl and Batman are talking about Jason's death and resurrection and the trauma that he has because of that. And Batman rolls up the Batmobile window to end the conversation. He just rolls it up. And, like, it's played as a 100% serious moment. Like, this is an extremely serious conversation. And Batgirl is sitting there and he just rolls the window up to end the conversation. And also, not to mention, he was, in that conversation, he was talking about the fact that, like, Barbara was saying that he didn't help Jason, like, after, like, why did you wait until now to think he needed to be, like, talked to? And he says, I was hoping he was more like you. And it just, like, one, obviously we know that Bruce is just very at fault when it comes to Jason with a lot of things. But that line in particular bothers me because it's literally like, Bruce can manage all these things constantly, but, like, he can't ask if his kid needs a hug, you know, like that. All right, Batman, I guess, right? And so the other thing that really bothers me is the plan. Okay, the whole plan that the Jokers have. So the 3 Jokers, one, apparently, according to them, there was an original Joker who the original obviously claims that he is the first appearance Joker, right? And then he says that he made the other 2 at some point in time. Okay, and so apparently, for a while, they've been they do what they always do and try to make a quote-unquote better Joker. And so what they're doing in 3 Jokers is their plan is to make a better Joker that means more to Batman. That's what the original is wanting to do, right? And the other 2 are helping him, sort of. They obviously, since they're all Joker, each have their own agendas. That's the basic plan. So they're trying to make a new Joker, a better Joker. And so in the process of this, they end up capturing Jason. And they think it would be very fitting, of course, for Jason to become Joker, right? First he was Red Hood, then he becomes Joker. And a lot of, you know, obviously all the connections to Batman. There's a lot of layers there. And so they're trying to, like, get him to be reborn as Joker. And, okay, I guess. The scene is really good when, I mean, it's not good. It's an awful scene, but the art is incredible. And then also some of the lines that we get between Jason and the Jokers is fantastic. And that's a really, really great scene overall, but it just, the fact that apparently the one Joker has just made the other 2, and they're trying to make a better Joker, I don't know how to feel about that, but I pretty much don't like that, I think, is what I'm realizing. And it's just because, like, I don't know, why does the Joker want to make more Jokers in the first place? Why does he need to make a better Joker? I don't understand that. Why did it only work for 2 of them, but it doesn't for other people? I don't. It bothers. So, like, I don't like their game plan there, right? And then so, of course, Batman eventually show up, rescue Jason. I didn't want to get into the story beat by beats. Yeah, we get Batman being a dumbass saying, Jason, are you all right? And thank God, I like the way that Jason snaps at him here. 1, it's very in character, and 2, is also like, yeah, what the fuck do you think, Bruce? He just was beaten. And, like, anyways. So, like, we get that, and we get, like, Barbara takes Jason to her apartment to keep him safe, right? And we see Jason, like, waking up, and we see him, like, seeing her, like, wheelchair and her, you know, books that she's used to, like, recover. And that's okay. But then Geoff Johns just has to, like, so the one, I don't think Jason and Barbara either of them are explored well individually in this series. And then also the way that they decide to put them together, I don't fucking like either. Like, there's no need for Geoff Johns to try to write Jason and Barbara as a romantic pairing at all, but he does. They don't need to. It doesn't do anything for either character in a positive manner. I don't like the pairing, obviously. I just don't think that it works for either of them. I don't think that it is something that either of them would go for. And then it also, like, it literally just feels like it's like, oh, both of these people were hurt by Joker. Both of these people are close. They need to be a thing. And that's not what needs to happen. They also are like family, basically. They should comfort each other like family. I do not like them being paired at all. They're not written well at all. It literally reads like fanfic half the time, more than half the time whenever Jason and Barbara are talking in this series. And it's not good. They kiss because of fucking course they do. And then just the way, like, the reaction to that is just like, they kiss and then Barbara is just like, we shouldn't have done that immediately. And then it's just immediately Jason, like, wanting more, and then Barbara being like, nah, this was stupid. We need to get back to the case. That's another thing that this book does. It does such abrupt turns out of emotional conversations to just something else entirely, to just move on immediately, and it's stupid. It's dumb. And then, of course, the second issue ends with the Joker's abducting Joe Chill because, of course, Joe Chill needs to be brought into this Batman story because we can't have a character-defining story without revisiting his origin. And Joe Chill, which already they flashbacked his origin in the first issue, and then also Joe Chill was in this issue because the Jokers had left clues for Batman in his cell, and he's sick. Joe Chill is dying. He's got stage 4 cancer. But of course, I also got annoyed whenever they brought in Joe Chill because fucking, of course, you have to do that. And so now we get to the doozy, the third issue, which this issue is just where everything fucking falls completely apart. So, one, you get this fight between Jason and Batman at the beginning of the issue. It's literally how the issue starts because they're, talking about what they're going to do, like, with the Jokers, right? And they get very angry with each other. This is what I was just talking about. It's a very heated thing. And then in 2 panels, Batman just goes, you don't understand, you never have. We agreed to work together on this. Let's start over and do that. And then Jason just goes, yeah, whatever. And so it's basically like, you can cut out the scene that just happened from the issue entirely. You could start out with this next panel. It could be the first panel of the issue, and nothing would be different at all. There was no character anything in there. Nothing was resolved. No one said anything meaningful that's going to last or have any impact. The way the scene ends is literally, yeah, whatever. There was no character change. No character went from positive to negative or negative to positive. They didn't impact each other. And it just is a fucking pointless scene that's undone for no reason. Immediately. And this book does that multiple times. And then, of course, we get a scene where at the end, they're like, is there anything else you need to tell us, Bruce? And he's like, no. And Jason's like, I don't believe you. I think you know the Joker's true name. And Bruce says, no, if I knew that, I would tell you. Which, oh God, this fucking scene. Geoff Johns writes Batman, I've come to notice, like, caricature Batman. Of course, Batman's keeping some other secret from the 2 Bat family members that they can't know about because Bruce always internalizes into everything and keeps secrets from people because he thinks that he's protecting them. And that's just what he does. It's the Batman thing to do. And it just, like, yeah, on the one hand, I'm like, yeah, that is very Bruce and very Batman to do. But on the other hand, I'm like, God damn, can he move on just a little bit? Can he open himself just a fucking little bit? It's been 81 years at this point, dude. But yeah, so Geoff Johns writes Batman like that, and then I believe, his true name thing is gonna fuck. Spoiler alert, that comes back at the end, and it's one of the fucking worst things about the book. Yeah, but of course they have him, like, ask that, and so the issue, what happened? We get more fucking fanfic writing between Jason and Barbara, where it's just like nothing essentially happening, nothing meaningful. We learn that Joe Chill. Okay, I will say I do like the development actually that they gave Joe Chill in this. The fact that throughout this issue, especially, we learned that he was very truly sorry for what he did to Bruce's parents. I think that having him at first be angry at them because they're rich, but then learning that they were genuinely good people and him understanding and realizing that he took them away from their son and what that must have done, and the fact that he's spent years writing letters that he hasn't been able to finish to Bruce, expressing the fact that he's sorry. I do think that is good development. I like that for his character. That's about the only positive thing I can say about the inclusion of Joe Chill in this, though. I mean, we get that, and then we get Batman, Jason, and Barbara going to the theater, the Monarch Theater, of course, because that's where this is going to end, to go, rescue Joe Chill and find the Jokers. And so we learned that now the original is basically setting Joe Chill up to become the next Joker. He says, what would be more fitting than that? That's, of course, perfect. That's what we need to do. And so he's trying to do that. We get Batman eventually rescuing Joe Chill, which is great. The scenes, I will say, the scenes between Batman and Joe Chill are very solid. It's a very interesting exploration of Bruce and Batman and how he deals and reacts to that, and of course that trauma. And then the original Joker is going to blow them all up together, but then the other Joker, I believe it'd be the comedian, so the second one, or presumably second one in the timeline, I don't know though, because they also allude to him being the same Joker from Endgame, Snyder and Capullo's issue, so I don't know. But anyways, he kills the third Joker, so now there's one Joker left. He tells Batman to take him in, and so the climactic battle or whatever is cool. Like I said, the art in it is phenomenal, but from a writing perspective, it's just not great. And then here's where the book really just falls apart for me. It's in the resolution and then the climax, right? The last, 10 pages, maybe 10 pages are just, you get Joker and Batman in the back of this police car or SWAT van or whatever, right? And they're riding, and you get Joker goes on this monologue, right? And it's really good, actually. It's a good monologue, talking about the fact that, the clown, your troubled Robin, put a bullet in. All he wanted to do was laugh at the suffering of others. How common. And the criminal, the old man, was so delusional. This whole big idea of creating a better Joker, well, that was lunacy now, wasn't it? A defined Joker, one with a name and identity that ruins the very definition of me. That's why I regret making him, or does he regret making me? And those lines are so good, because yes, the point of the Joker is that he isn't defined. That does ruin him to an extent. You lose so much when you do that to him. And I do like him calling out the fact that the other Joker is wrong for wanting to do this. And then also he gets the line, that's why I regret making him, or does he regret making me? Which you get that little, that's obviously a nod to the past multiple choice thing from the Killing Joke, but then it also keeps the illusion of we still don't know. It keeps the mystery around the three Jokers a little bit. We don't know who came first, if one of them came first, if one of them made the other ones. We still don't know all the intricacies of that, which I think is really cool. I like that it maintains that, right? So he does this, and he says, there's no final twist. They're just going to do this. He goes, the criminal was wrong. I am chaos. I am the devil. I am nothing to you and everything. And it's so good. And then, oh God, then fucking Geoff Johns just goes in and ruins it in the next page. So you got this great monologue, right? And Joker says, it wasn't the Joker that is broken, it was the Batman, broken by a pain greater than anything I could ever do. And he talks about Joe Chill, right? And how he's the one who convinced the other Jokers that Joe Chill was the one that needed to be brought in. And so then, this is where he fucking ruins it. Keep in mind, Joker just went on this big rant about how Joker does not need to be defined. He doesn't need to be anything meaningful. That is the point of him. He's just chaos. And then he goes on to say, he orchestrated Joe Chill being brought into this so that Batman could save him and forgive him so that he could heal his greatest trauma, so that now Joker can be his greatest pain. Just him. And so he literally he went within 2 pages of giving a great monologue about how he doesn't need meaning, right? And then explains how his whole plan has been to give himself the most meaning to Batman. It just fucking... It doesn't compute in my brain that you could write this scene out and not realize that you just completely went the opposite direction of what you fucking described there. It just... It hurts. It bothers me a lot. But yeah, so that's the final scene we get with Joker. And we get Bruce forgiving Joe Chill and Joe Chill dying, which is nice. But then we get this fucking epilogue, which is just... I'll get to the, I guess, less worse of the 2 plot threads in the epilogue. We get Jason writing a letter to Barbara, basically saying that he'll give up being Red Hood to be with her, that he loves her, or whatever, but that he understands if she doesn't, and that she could never respond to this letter, and he won't bring it up or anything. And he tapes it to her apartment door, and then walks away, and then it falls off, and it gets swept away by a janitor. So Barbara just never gets it, because he didn't slide it under the door. So like the letter that he wrote that gets swept away and is basically pointless. Everything, as I was saying, in regards to both of their characters in this book is just swept away, like that letter at the end, which I mean, I guess is fine. I'd like to forget about it too. I'm jealous of the fact that Barbara never had to read what Jason wrote. So, wow, that was mean. And then the other thing, right, is Alfred saying, like, it's over now, and then he's saying, like, I wonder if we'll ever know who he really is, the Joker. And then Bruce, Bruce goes, not to sound like people think I do, Alfred, but I'm Batman. Which, this is what I was talking about with Geoff Johns writing Batman like a fucking caricature. Not to sound like people do think I do, but I'm Batman. I wanted to fucking pull a gun out and just shoot myself as soon as I read that. It's so bad. It's so bad. And he goes, I knew the Joker's name 1 week after we first met. Which one? Which of the three? Or do you know all of their names after you met them the first week? The book does, I'll tell you right now, the book doesn't fucking answer that question. We don't know. We don't know which one he meant, if he meant all three of them. So one, that's already stupid. And basically we get this retcon that the Joker from The Killing Joke, right? It makes that origin definitely canon for at least one of the Jokers, which I mean, it basically is canon anyways, but like it makes everything in that book that happened like canon, but then also retcons it because we learned in that book that he was basically an abusive piece of shit to his pregnant wife. And so she was terrified and wanted to leave him. So she went to the police and they faked her death to him. Like they told him that she died so that she could then change her name and move away and raise their son without any harm. So one, retcons the idea that all it takes is one bad day to like break a person, because apparently Joker was already a piece of shit in The Killing Joke. He was an abusive person to his wife. So that's dumb. And then it just completely undermines the entire point of The Killing Joke, which I think is fucking hilarious given how much of an influence it was on this book and how much inspiration it was for Johns and Fabok, but whatever. And then it also makes it to where Joker is a dad now. I think we should talk about that a little bit. Joker has a estranged wife that he doesn't know about and a child out there. And Bruce says that no one can ever know his true name because then the world will get out and then his family will never be left alone and the press will find them and then the Joker will find them. And so that can't happen. And he goes, so yes, I know his name. And then see, this fucking book does it again, right? Terrible. This epilogue is awful. I hate it so much. But then in the middle of the epilogue, the end, actually, the final line is good. It goes, but the Joker's name isn't what's important. It never has been. And that's how it ends. And like, yeah, I agree with that. The Joker's name is not what's important. And so I guess like it's cool that we never really find out like the true identity of any of the three Jokers, but the book it just bothers me so much that Batman goes, not to sound like people think I do, but I'm Batman, which is just terrible writing I don't even have words to express how fucking bad that is. But then also it just ruins... Oh, I'm so glad I just remembered this and thought of this. The fact that he says that he knew the Joker's name after the week after they met completely erases the entire reason that this series exists in the first place. The entire fucking reason that we got three Jokers in the first place is because in Darkseid War, when Batman sits on the Mobius chair that has all the knowledge of the universe and you can ask it anything, he asks it, what is the Joker's true name? Hey, Bruce, why the fuck you asking the all-knowing chair a question you already know the answer to? Huh? And then why do you act so surprised whenever it gets, like, oh, fuck. Because that's the other thing, like, if he knows his true name and the Joker, the chair we know says there are three Jokers. That's it. He says impossible, right? So either Batman, this book tries to have it both ways. It tries to have Batman be simultaneously the best and the worst fucking detective in the world. Because it's trying to say that actually, of course, Batman's the world's greatest detective. He's always known who the Joker is. But then, at the same time, apparently, given his reaction to the Mobius chair, he's a fucking idiot and didn't know that there was three Jokers the entire time also. He hasn't noticed that there's three different people. You could tell whenever there's different people, regardless of how much the Joker's changed over the years. So is Batman. But like, So he either, one, is fucking stupid and hasn't noticed that there's 3 Jokers the whole time, or 2, he is the world's greatest detective and then has also known that there has been 3 Jokers the whole time, but does he know their names as well? Did he always know their names? Why did he act so fucking surprised when the Mobius chair said that there was 3 of them? It just, the fucking ending of the Batman saying that he knew the Joker's true name the whole night just ruins so much. It erases the reason the book exists. It does not work at all. It's caricature Batman writing. It's literally fanfic. It also makes him simultaneously a genius and a fucking moron, because the book doesn't go through any lengths to actually answer, which, like, I appreciate some of the questions they don't answer. Like I've said, I like there's still mystery around the Jokers. I like that we don't know everything, but it's the fact that we don't have answers to questions that make it to where the book doesn't work logically, right? That's the part that bothers me a little bit, obviously. But yeah, this book, I'm trying to, this video is much long. I mean, it's not, I won't say it's much longer than anticipated, and I also haven't edited it yet, but it's quite long. So I'm trying to figure out if I've hit most of the things that I wanted to. This book, like I said, there's some idea, like I loved the idea of there being 3 Jokers and what that could mean, how that could be explored, what we could get from that. I don't think the end result was worth it at all, though. It didn't live up to the hype for me at all, and I don't think it's given us anything really meaningful that really changes the relationship between Batman and the Joker for the better. I don't think it changes the relationship between the Joker and Batgirl or Red Hood for the better. I don't think anyone really got any positive development from this. Joe Chill, I guess, which is good, and then Bruce forgiving him, which I guess is also good, but that was a very much byproduct. I mean, I know that was supposed to be one of the things because they were talking about healing from trauma, and that's, Bruce goes through that in this book with that, so I guess I'll give it that. But the Joker side of things is just fluff, basically. I mean, seeing 3 Jokers looks cool, seeing 2 Jokers get killed looks cool. The art, like I said, is fantastic, but the actual, the book really just fucking shoots itself in both feet, kneecaps, elbows, and a couple times in the chest, and then finally just finishes it off in the face with that epilogue. It undoes so much for me. Like, the final scene between Batman and Joker, like Joker just completely contradicting himself, which you could argue Joker contradicting himself is in character, but it's the specific way that he contradicts himself here that is just stupid. And it's that, and then the epilogue just really ruined the book for me, honestly. I don't like it. I'm not a fan. I don't know. I will say, whenever I reread the book, this video is way later than it was planned to be. I planned to record this video a long time ago, but I kept on not, because I needed to reread the book, and I kept on not wanting to reread the book. I would get 5 pages into issue 1 and I just couldn't do it. I would stop. But so I finally went through, I reread it all yesterday, obviously. And it's crazy because I liked and disliked it more than whenever I read it the first time. The things that I do like about this book, one, as I've already mentioned, the art, I tweeted this, I want a textless version of this book to be released. I know it'll never happen, but I would love to have a copy of 3 Jokers with none of the text bubbles, so I could just admire the art, because I spent so long just looking at the art. The details in here are immaculate. It's so good. It's absolutely worth cover price for the art. I'll say that. And so, that's amazing, and I love that a lot. And then the moments that are good, like I said, are fantastic. They're really, really good moments in here. And there are some ideas that I really like. I just don't think that any of them are explored in a meaningful enough way, in a way that's additive to the continuity. It's not there for me, unfortunately. It's not. I went into this book expecting and hoping for it to be one of, if not my favorite Batman stories ever, and it's unfortunately probably the most disappointing comic that I've ever read. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I can sum it up more succinctly than that. I could go through and just nitpick every little thing in these books. I don't want to do that, though. This is already a pretty long video that's basically just me shitting on the book. But yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people have loved it. If you loved this book, I don't know why you're still watching me just completely destroy it. But if you loved this book, I'm glad. There are a lot of people that really love this series, and I'm very happy for them, and also jealous that I don't enjoy it. But I just unfortunately don't. I don't know when the next time I'll reread this book is, and that sucks. I thought I was going to want to reread it constantly, all the time, and I don't. It's a massive disappointment to me. So yeah, I guess those are my super long-winded thoughts on 3 Jokers. have you read Three Jokers? I'm assuming if you're this far, you have. What did you think about it? Did you enjoy it? What did you like about it if you did? Did you not like it? What did you dislike about it if you didn't? Give me your thoughts down below. You can also tweet me your thoughts and follow me on Twitter at BatmanFiles. Let me know what you think about the series there. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing and turning the notification bell on. It really helps me out and I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like down below. That also really helps me out. Thank you so much for watching and be sure to tune in to the next one. Later.